Okay, what if Eve didn't have no girl? She had Abel and Cain, and
Oh, let's see the
then
children of man.
Cain killed Abe. It's Abel. Is it Abel? Abel.
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 Hmm.
Abel. So Cain killed Abel, and ooh, did God put something on him? Cuss that land that he couldn't profit nothing.
Hmm.
He had to leave, right? Then the next thing the Bible says, Cain got a wife. And then they start producing children. Sorry, Pastor Mom, let me pass them out.
Hmm.
It Adam and Eve had two boys. Where do women come from?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that.
So
I'm trying to find that.
he explained it to me. So I guess that'll be y'all research for next
They
week.
were
Somebody,
children, the children of
let's
God.
give them let's get that question for a research for next week, Pastor Mom.
All right, yeah,
We can't do it next week because we got
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
but what I,
no next Saturday, yeah, second
Yeah,
Saturday,
second.
so
I'll
we
be out,
can't do it.
sisters.
So, but
We can't
just
do it.
just a quick. What happened was when between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, that's when the devil fell from heaven, and so he it just wasn't him, and he was angels. So all these angels fall to the earth. They stop here, and what happens is, or they stop in this. I don't want to get too deep, but they fall in this realm because they really don't have dominion on the earth. So they're just kind of like they're homeless. And so what happens is when Adam and Eve fall, when they sell out to the devil, that gave all of those fallen angels somewhere to go. So they all come to the earth. Because now what happens is, so then what happens is when they come, angels can transform. They can transform into whatever they want to be. That's why you don't ever pray to see an angel. Don't ever pray to see that because they can transform. Because the enemy can transform and make himself like an angel of light. So what happens is, so now you have all these angels walking around on the earth, and these angels can actually produce. They're not produce. They can produce individuals. They could sleep together. They could actually produce children. So you had Adam and Eve there in the garden. They're the people, they can do it. But then you have these angels who are walking around and they start to produce. So what starts happening is you have all these angels that can actually mingle, start producing. So these people are these and the children they're producing are not God's children. They look like people, but they really don't have rights to the earth. So what happens is when and as the children start to be born, as Adam and Eve's children start to go out, they start sleeping with these children who are out here who fell from heaven. And so what happens is, and the thing about that is, you'll hear in the Bible when God when He starts to go and tell his kings and the warriors, hey, kill this people, wipe them completely off the earth. He'll say, like the Hittites, all of those people. He said, look, when you kill these people, I don't want a remnant left. I want you to kill them, and I want you to get rid of them. What God was doing is He wasn't killing like His own creation. He was going through and He was actually getting rid of the people who didn't have rights to this earth anyway. So what happens? So that's where these people are coming from. Those people, because then God cut it. And I'll find the verse for you. Probably won't do it today, but there's a verse where God says, "I will no longer allow the fallen angels to mix with the children of man." So when He cut that, then the angels and man they couldn't mingle anymore. But you already had these illegal people here on the earth. So what happens? That's why you start getting like Ann said, like how are these all these children getting produced, and it's only Adam and Eve. And then you have to understand that people living 800 years old. They're living. So we think of a lifespan as 80 years. They were living 800. They were living 700.
900.
Yeah, 900. Because people didn't know how to die. So their state is still perfect. So
Yeah, because I think April, um, Adam lived to 920 or something
right.
like that.
And this is it. You have to understand that brothers and sisters could sleep with each other. So this is
And
the
they did.
right. So there
They
was
cleansed the earth, right? You
right,
know how it goes.
right. It wasn't like now when you mix gene pools, like if you're too close on the same line, you start getting retardation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Back then, they could sleep together, and so you could sleep.
They had no choice.
But hold it, could you imagine sleeping with somebody for 700 years? How many children you would produce?
And
You
they
know,
had more than one wife, too.
yeah. So and people could sleep with anybody. There was no such
Yeah.
thing as that. So people just when you saw somebody you like, you slept with them. You produced kids. So And then their kids at 25, they start producing kids for another 700 to 800 years.
And
So,
then, I mean, husband and wife can't stay in the house. These men had 3, 4, 5
oh,
wives in one
sure,
house.
sure,
They
yeah.
they had no children
That's why
to
the
get
flood
along.
came. That
Yeah.
the flood came because what happened was these people were just sleeping around with whoever they wanted to sleep around, and they had no regard for God. So yeah, they were just fallen angels who were producing children.
But there are men that's actually on that mindset that feel like they need more than one woman just so that they can multiply. And I don't think that's right.
No, if you got one woman, I think you can multiply enough. I mean, that's the
Enough.
yeah.
At least until she get in her 50s anyway.
Yeah, that's enough. I mean, you don't because then what you're getting is you're creating all these potential dysfunctional families, halves and halves, and nothing's wrong with that. Now, come on, I'm not saying it, but if you're a man and and if you got one child that's you got three children who are all the same age, just about from different mothers, like now that's you got to be careful of that because
Man, they were just things that if I had 10 children, I ain't gotta pay no child support.
no you no
Ah!
you better hope they don't catch you. Yeah, no. Or no, or you got women. I mean, and I don't, I don't want to mess with people's Kool-Aid, but some women they just like, I don't want nothing from him. I don't want nothing. Like, no, this is it. If he helped you bring this child into the world, no,
Let
this
him be that father to that child. You don't
right.
have to take anything from him, but let that
Yes,
father be a
yes,
father to his child.
yes. You need to,
Yeah, you
yeah.
don't have to take anything from him. Just let him be a father to that child.
And then sometimes you have situations like this, especially if a woman has a baby by a man that she really likes, but the man really didn't like her like that.
Mm-hmm.
So a part of you is still in love with that person. So it's irritating you that you got somebody walking on this earth that you gave yourself to, and you really hadn't stopped loving them. You might try to act all whatever, but there's part of you that still loves them. But so every time you see this child, it represents rejection. Like your daddy don't like me, so I don't like you almost. Yeah, yeah.
And how is it, Pastor? Now, getting out there for how is it a 12-year-old kill a 12-year-old?
Mm.
That happened in South Carolina this week.
Because
12-year-old kills a 12-year-old.
Mm.
because guns don't care. Yeah.
12-year-old got a gun.
Well, no, the parent get on the
In
parent.
school.
It's the parent. It's
In
the
school.
parent. It's the parent. No,
Thank you.
no, that's when you go get that's why the parents go to jail. Now the kid might go to reform school or something like that, but the parent going to jail. A 12-year-old can't go buy a gun. I mean not unless they on
The
the street.
parent, whether they know it, they're gonna be charged. 12 years old killed another 12-year-old.
And this is
In
at
school.
12 years old, you don't in 12 years, a 12-year-old really doesn't have a realization of what life is. You know what I'm saying? 12-year old, who plays games like these shooting games or whatever. You get shot and you almost like you shoot you just shoot people and then you keep going to the next level.
Well, I know 2 12-year-olds had babies.
Oh, that ain't nothing. When a woman has when a woman has her
Yeah,
cycle.
I
I know
know.
one too.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying, what man? I mean, come on, man. I'm still children.
not to a pervert.
Um,
No.
Not to a
How old do you think? Hold it. Let me ask you something. You think about how old do you think Boaz was? Everybody wanted Boaz. He had all that property. Boaz was probably he probably was pushing 70. And Ruth, she was still young enough to have children, so she was probably a young maiden. She was probably in her 20s. So yeah, so think about Mary. Mary wasn't that old when she had Jesus. These are some young babies. Yeah. Right. When a woman, and this is it now, and you have, and social media has made girls want to be older. So what happens is, if you're a young 12-year-old and hold it, now rape, you send them to jail, you bury him. I'm almost, that's just my personal. But if a 12-year-old starts to like flirt with the older man, some brothers, they just don't have that. And guess how much of that stuff went on in the old days? You just never heard about that stuff,
I
man.
know it went on.
Molestation and all that stuff.
I mean, Michaela have her ways now. I'm not putting her on no pedestal or nothing like that. But God knows she have her ways. She a child.
Right.
But when guys approach her, she said, "I'm a minor." She's 17 now.
Right. She
But
is.
she tell them I'm a minor. They say, "Well, what you mean you a minor?" She said,
You
"I'm
going to jail.
17."
It's
Then they go
statutory.
like, "Well, when will you be 18?"
It's statutory.
Yeah, stuff like that. These be men in their 20s and 30s.
Right.
You know.
Well, I mean, she really at 16. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, after 16, you don't go to jail.
WYRN, you on the air?
Yes, good morning. We got to think about the ladies, young ladies are growing up this day and time. They are developed earlier than it was back when I'm 70 years old, back when I was growing up. So,
yeah.
I mean, and
They
that's another thing that these perverts out here look at. They don't think about the age. When they look at a young lady and how she has developed, that's all they're looking at. They don't ask no age or anything. And then if that young lady go ahead on with her, then that's where it all starts.
That's where it starts, brother. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah.
God bless that.
All right.
Me too.
And that's so true because even men don't even ask age no more.
They don't.
No.
They be like a R. Kelly.
Right.
All them young women, they don't care.
Right. And Leah
They
was
look
what?
at the body and not the age.
And I think Leah was like 14 maybe. Yeah.
But then, up until a year or two ago, 14 was marriage. You
Yeah.
can,
Oh, you can do it now. I mean, with consent from
Oh,
parents.
not now. They passed a law. Up until about 2 years ago.
No. They
14.
no. Really,
It still
statutorily.
is. Okay, I know they said, but at 14 you could have got married.
Right. Well, hold it. You have to talk about marriage without consent. If your parents consent to that stuff.
At 14. Now. Okay.
I would just say this, like, and I'm raising girls, so I see it a lot, but these little girls are more aggressive. A lot of times
True.
when you hear these boys talk, they say, well, shoot, she came at me, and
Yep.
I can't say no. But then again, you're looking at some of these young women who are, well, young teenagers actually, who are being actually trafficking. They don't want to call it that.
That's what it is.
If
That's what it
are
is.
put out there,
That's what it
your
is.
mama's
Call
print.
it like it is.
It's trafficking.
Yep.
So they are introduced to that word early. So that's why these men are like, you know what, shoot, she came at me, so she already know what it is.
Right.
So that's
Yeah, that's
And
true.
once again, we as parents, because I was at a program the other week, and this man saw Michaela talking to a guy out in the lobby. He came in there and got me, and he said, "Miss Ann, your granddaughter out there in the lobby."
Yeah.
I nicely went on out there to see what was going on. So you need more people.
You gotta
Yeah.
monitor.
Yeah, be more old fashioned.
And
Y'all
sis,
call them nosy. That's not nosy.
But this is it. And so much of this stuff on phones now. So what happens is you got TikTok and now the thing on TikTok is sexual immorality. It's girls, dancing provocatively. You got guys who are, the young girls are telling you what they will and won't do. So now you got a culture of young adults who are looking at this and they seeing it on TikTok. They seeing people their age saying, this is what you do. And so they want to emulate that. So they're actually emulating the culture. Now, what happens is if you're a parent and you hand your child a cell phone that's connected to the world, you got to monitor. You can't just let them have their phone like where you never go in there and say, well, hold on, let me look through what you're looking at, who's following you. Right, because now you can do a one-on-one chat. You don't know what those children are doing together. Yeah.
And then you're looking at too. They tell you a whole lot, because my girls are like, Mama, do you know that guy?
You're right. It's now 16, man. You got it. Yeah,
it
is.
Like, do you know there are men now that will actually pay for to see a picture of your feet? So they don't care. They're not looking at the age anymore.
They don't.
They're not looking at the age anymore. So they can look at feet.
So you said now by law it's 16.
It's 16. Yeah. Yeah. They were just talking about it, the general
assembly.
assembly.
After that R. Kelly thing.
Yeah.
They took it up to 16. Yeah, they took it up to 16.
And
once again, it was parents. Parents should have been there with their kids during that time. But this
is what's.
I'm like this. I'm like this. Any parent can really go out there and get their child. They really can. Especially we talking 13, 14. Somebody had been getting paid, and I call it still trafficking. And I feel like if he got in trouble, they should get in trouble too, because they took the money.
They gave their kids to him, and he took care of the parents. So there just ain't no way you gonna let your 13, 14-year-old
But
child
sis, what's getting
live
We
with a
gonna go
mom.
get our game.
Right.
but what I can't get now is flipping. Now you got middle school teachers sleeping with young boys.
Yeah, that was all.
That part, having babies too.
Now, as a woman, because woman, you got that maternal. That's a maternal in you, and if you in your 30s, you sleeping with a 12-year-old boy. This not see.
You just nasty.
You are. You just
Plain
now.
ass.
Right, this
You
boy is
see,
12 years old.
But Pastor,
Baby.
not only that, y'all might think I'm
We said
wrong.
we were there.
That's
Mothers,
like more now these days.
mothers are falling in love with their boys now.
Oh Lord
They
Jesus.
are.
That's
I mean, it the world is just turning.
Yeah, I mean
It
it's it's demonic influence.
It
I mean
is.
it
It's
is. It is.
demonic
Right.
Because you're looking at the like the grandfathers and the doggone granddaughters. Like I'm in love with her. Like really?
Right. It's
That's crazy.
flesh, man.
That's
Flesh.
nasty.
Your flesh, your flesh unchecked.
But how can you look at your own child as? Come on now.
Hold it, but this is it. I mean,
Hold
it's
it,
I mean, we hadn't really been spiritual, but the stuff that we fight against, suggestions that we fight against, man, the enemy's weapons are this: it's thoughts. The enemy can't come down and push you down the step or whatever. But the enemy, the prince of the power of the air, he will allow thought. So your granddaughter walks by and he said, "Doesn't she look good?" Now, what happens is, if you don't know where that thought is coming from, you think that thought originated in your own mind. You know what I'm saying? So the enemy's weapons is in our thought processes. What are you thinking about? What do you? And Jesus, Jesus says this, man. He's like, listen, you need to stop imagining crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? WYRN, you're on the air.
We
Can,
can't do it till we get off.
at about 11:30. Can you call back at 11:30? Whose name?
We on the air, ma'am.
We on the air. All right, call back at 11:30. Yeah. So what happens is it's the thought. Have you ever seen? When you see it, like if you see a person of the opposite sex, you just say, "Wow, they look good." Okay, that's just the thought. Now, the seed is planted. Now, the first look is like, okay, that's whatever. But then the stare coming, like, whoa, she really fine. Now I'm getting ready to get over into imagination. You know what I'm saying? And then once I start imagining, now where the danger comes in is what words are coming out. Woo-wee, I sure would like to get with her. And that's when the enemy says, I got you, because that's what you like. So then he starts sending everything by your eye gate. You're like, woo. And then guess what? Then if you're in the house with a minor and she starts fitting that category, now you don't see her like your relative anymore. It's like, yeah.
With these stepfathers.
Oh, dangerous. Ooh, and stepmoms,
have daughters. Don't ever leave your daughter at home with her step boyfriend or whatever, because
that's dangerous.
It was this situation. This stepfather said, well, I made her strip at 15.
Whoa.
I made her strip.
Jail.
So I can whoop her.
Right.
Jail.
That's
jail.
15,
That's jail.
I made her strip.
Jail.
So I can whoop her.
Jail. No, that's a pervert, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pervert. That was something. That was his. That's
Mother didn't leave him. She kept him.
He was using that like a
that was an excuse. That was something he was into.
Yeah.
That's like a fetish. So yeah, and that's playing out through that. Oh my
but
God!
Think about the movie Dear Family Reunion, when the older guys kept getting that girl to bend all the way down there and get something, and she thinking she just helping them, and they out there really eye-gating her the whole time.
Oh, the flesh unchecked. I mean, the flesh unchecked, the imagination, and then people who are into pornography. And then in pornography, now you got child pornography. So you seeing these old men in the images, and even in cartoons, you had these cartoon pornographic images where the law is not going to chase you on there, but in the image it looks like real people. You got somebody who's, an adult male sleeping with some young, or a cartoon they sleeping with some young girl.
But one thing about women, don't ever put a man before your child. if that child say something,
you better go with it.
You better go with it.
Go with it, man.
No, he didn't do that. No.
Woo! I don't get that in. I don't get that.
No, he did. You lied. Why? That's your child.
I don't get that.
I don't care if he paying every bill in the house.
It ain't worth it.
It's
That's
not
your
worth
daughter's
it.
life.
That sure is.
Or your son. This is what I don't like.
Yeah.
Because now these men who are, homosexuals, and you got sons, you say, I can leave my son with them. Like, no, you don't. You don't know what this. If you a pedophile is a pedophile, you don't know what his thing is. No, man.
You know what? We got some kids that lie though.
True.
They say that he did.
Still be there.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but
take the child with them.
Yeah, so we got to be careful with that too.
Yeah. I applaud parents who are just trying to raise children now. It is. Then you send them to school, and then you send them to school, and it's like you pray over your children when you release them to school, man. It's like you're going with all these raging hormones. When you send them to college, pray over your babies, man. Hold it, and this is it. And parents, start to before your child gets too old, learn how to allow them to have freedom. Because what happens is, not when I say freedom, send them to a camp, let them come back. Because I've seen so many people send their kids to college and they don't know what freedom feels like. So then you got a child with no boundaries, and this is the first time they've experienced that. Like, you can have a boy over in your room all night. Like, wait a minute, where are my parents at? Like, I'm no parents. We don't. It's like, what time do I have to go to bed? You never have to go to bed if you don't want to go to bed. You got to give your children opportunities to know what freedom feels like. Like these church, and I'm sad to say it, a lot of it are the kids who are raised up in houses that maybe pastors and stuff like that, and they just kept them so sheltered. Like, my baby ain't gonna do nothing wrong, and they thinking in their mind, when I get 18, and when I get,
they already have on 2 sets of clothes when they go to school. They get that top set off and wear other set. By the time they get back home, they got the other set on. And not only that, mothers, there's so much birth control out here for your daughters now. Put them on it, because
don't be ignorant.
They finding a way now to have sex.
That's right.
They are.
Don't be ignorant.
They finding a way now to have sex at school. When you have teenagers and they talk, they having sex at school.
Yeah. And this is it, and I know, and Ann is she's a parent, she's a grandmom, and and I know that it can throw such a curveball at you, because you say, well, I'm giving them consent. No, it's just like when I take vitamin C, it's preventative. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'd rather for you, I need to deal with the fact that if you're a young girl and you start having your cycle, you can have kids now. So my whole thing is, if you even thinking about that, I need to start thinking like, well, you had a conversation. I'm not condoning this at all. This is not, and this is it. Don't let me hear about it, and I don't ever want to catch you. But because you are a child, and sometimes you might not be in control of yourself. I ain't even talking about somebody raping you or something like that. I'm talking about you making the decision to do something because it's cool or whatever. I need to make sure you protected. I need to make sure that, listen, I don't need you to come back and then I'm trying to ask the question how this happened. Well, I ain't stupid. I know how it happened. So, those are some conversations. If you're a 2-parent family, start talking when your kids get into their teenage years, especially these daughters, and with your sons, talk about condoms. Like, no, don't you, if you think you want to be some kind of man and you ain't a man yet, here, put these condoms in your pocket so that I ain't got to deal with some daddy or mama coming here trying to kill you or kill me because you done got their daughter pregnant. No, it works both ways. Yeah.
But you know what, Pastor Miles, I had that same conversation with my oldest. I did. I mean, I was like fussed out some of everything from the outside of my home about, putting on birth control. But the thing was, I knew what was going on in my home. They did not know.
Mm-hmm.
So when I took her there, needless to say, the birth control made her sick. So I would tell anybody, research these birth controls. It made her severely sick. And what they had to do was they had to switch her to something else.
Right.
And when they did, in the course of that matter, she got pregnant. Because she wasn't careful on the other end. So educate more about birth control and what they can do also.
And even with my daughter, your daughter as well, I think my daughter was 15. I don't know how.
Mine, she found out when she was 15.
Yeah, so we experienced this, you all. So
you talking to real life, real life.
We did. we didn't put them. I didn't put mine on the field because I believe her. You know what she said. You know, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not doing this. I see all these other girls, and I believe her. You know, I trusted her, but the whole time she was part of the environment. So I learned from it. So you know, it happens. It happens.
Right. And then if your child comes to you and they're talking birth control, don't shut them down.
Right.
You know, don't be like, you better not be talking about this. Like, wait a minute. For one thing, so now you just shut down a whole lot of communication. So now they're like, I wanted to talk to you, but now you gonna jump down my throat. Then you know who they gonna talk to? Somebody who don't care as much about your child as you do. And they be like, well, you ain't gotta tell her, you just whatever.
Have you seen that movie, Single Parents?
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, that I saw it a couple times. It's a good movie. Single parents, they all had kids.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I remember that. I
and
do
the
remember
girl,
that.
that mother didn't even know her daughter's cycle had started. She even know 2 years before she even found out. You know, because
Come
she
on,
had a maid, so she didn't have time for her
to
child.
talk to them.
And these
Wow.
now they don't have maids, but they don't have time for their kids.
So
they
who's
don't-
educating these
Who's
babies, man?
educating them? Exactly.
The world, the school.
Right,
Yeah,
right, yeah. Well, you think because they go to church and you know the pastor's saying, you know, don't. Well, kids when they listen to if they listen to pastors say don't, they just think, well, y'all just an adult, y'all don't want us to do nothing anyway. So, you know, you gotta and that's why I try to be real. You know, I've had situations where you know somebody young just told me, you know, what that had happened and you know, and she was, you know, and when she came to me, I could tell that there was, you know, yeah, or she felt like I can't tell you. When I said, listen, I said, no, you are still you are valuable. That means that God trusted you because God trusted you with this situation. You know what I'm saying? That's what you tell. I tell any young girl, it's like, listen, sweetie, the one thing you have to know is that God trusted you with another life, regardless of when it happened or how it happened. Don't let people tell you that you're a bad girl. Don't let people tell you that you fast with your fast self. Like, cause the person who probably talking to you at your age, they were probably fast too. They probably just they got away with it, or you know, and you don't know who what. And most of the time, the people who the worst are the people who were doing it at that age. You know what I'm saying?
But I can say, you know, I'm a single parent. When I say I was a single parent, I was a single parent. No father figure, none whatsoever.
Mm.
No daddy involved. Not because of me, because they chose not to be.
That's a bad situation.
They chose not to be. I would not tell them about why their daddy wasn't there. I said, you know, you can send whatever you get ready, you know. I don't know why they're not here. I didn't down them. I didn't say he ain't no good, this, I didn't do none of that.
Mm-hmm.
But my son, he never even asked. He knew, and that was it. He went on by his business. He learned how to do himself.
That's good.
He was the type that, you know, just leave me alone. I'm all right.
Right,
He learned everything himself. My son got more degrees than haven't went to college. He had more degrees than everybody that been to college and everything. He wrecked his truck. He did the body work himself. He can build a house if he wanted to. He do plumbing. He do electrical. He got 5 boys of his own. He teaching them. I mean, he that type. He never liked to ask me for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So he went out and did it himself on his own. But I guess he probably saw that I was struggling. I'm trying to cry.
It's okay. It's okay. I know
I
it's all
guess
right.
he probably saw that, you know, me struggling, trying to, you know, trying to raise him,
Yeah.
you know, making sure he had,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, going without. So when he got to that age, he never asked me for anything. By the time he got 15, 14, he was already out there hustling, making money for himself, building boom boxes and stuff like that.
Right.
So, you know, he saw my struggle, I guess. But because he wouldn't ask me for anything. And then, you know, I have a daughter, so, daughters are different. You know, you have to do for them.
Right.
But, you know, I'm just saying I was, you know, a single parent, and I just thank God on today that I made it and they made it. So that's the best part about it. You know,
Your son probably, your son probably saw you hustling, man. He probably saw, if you were the type where you were just leaving him by himself, you would, if he had seen, men coming back and forth and all of that. So what happens is you stopped your life to be a mother. So what happens is that love that he saw. I mean, my mom was the same way. Single mom, but she was kicking it. She's teaching a night school. She was doing all of that. And this is it. Where he grew up in Warrenton. But hold it. And this is it. The thing he didn't have that, I had to deal more with. When you're in the city, it's different. So when you out there in the country like that, you learn how to do stuff. You like, because it ain't too much, what else you gonna do? He like, let me take this apart. Let me see how this works. In the city, you go to the corner, it's like, hey, what's up, kid? Oh man, we going hanging out. You know what I'm saying? When you had him down in the country, it's like, let me see what I can work on. So it was good that, and that happened to me even from 701 South Main Street to East River Road. It felt like I changed countries. You know what I'm saying? When I was on Main Street, I'm in the middle of everything. When I walked outside, the guys were there. When I went home, I started going to the pond. I'm like, let me just walk down here to this pond. Let me walk out here in the country. I'm like, it changed my whole demeanor. So I think the fact that you had him in the not isolated, but you had him in a place where he couldn't really get into all that crazy stuff. Yeah, I think that helped him. Yeah. If you had been in the city, imagine trying to raise him in Raleigh. Suppose you would. Yeah. See, then when you went away anyway, it's like, hey, who, then you got all that pulling on him. So the great thing you did is you kept him in Warrenton. He couldn't get into all that stuff.
We moved into a trailer park, and when we moved into the trailer park, at first it was about 3 trailers.
Oh, here they come. Here they come.
3. And
Here
then,
they come. It's coming.
the thing of it is, the ones that moved in, it was more boys than it was girls.
Yeah.
And they had their little crew. The guys, they had their
guys are gonna do it.
Yeah, I call them a little gang, but they wasn't a gang.
We hang up. We found our crew. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was about 6 of them.
There you go.
Separate them boys. You couldn't. They all.
And but how old was he when he really got up?
12, 13.
That's about the right age. It's the peer when you get with your peers, they become your kind of your group. Mom is still getting kind of too old, so you start looking for like who's my age.
And the 3 houses, we knew where to find them at.
Oh, that was good. I'm glad he had that. Yeah. That he could establish those young relationships, with brothers. You know what I'm saying? Because if all girls had to move in, different way.
Yeah, it could have been.
You might have 3 or 4 running around. So yeah,
it was.
Thank God for the brothers.
He was the only one that didn't have a brother. Everybody else had a brother.
Oh,
so
good.
He was the only one that didn't have a brother. So it was like 2, 4, 6. Then
oh, right. So, yeah. So God protected you, girl. He protected you. He kept you single in an isolated place so your son can really get into stuff. So he was like me. I'm an only child. So I mean, even though he had a baby sister, I was tending to be more to myself. And I like to figure stuff out. I mean, that's just who I am. Like, looking at that music thing, like it's got to be an answer to that. You know what I'm saying? That's what we learn how to do because that's what we don't have nothing else to do. So yeah.
And when I was working at 12-hour job, he was also my babysitter. So.
Oh, he was just mature. He matured quick.
He was my babysitter as well.
And he had a baby sister.
Yeah.
So that means he was protective over girls, So that's a whole different kind of thing. Like, nobody don't mess with my baby sister. So that kicked your maturity up a whole because you look at girls a different way when you got a baby sister. Yeah.
Because he got her ready for school in the morning. Oh. I had to be to work at 7 o'clock. So if he couldn't do his hair, he called one of the girls from there in the street to come up and do her hair for school.
Oh, and he was old. He's an old soul.
Yeah, and he made sure she got on the bus, got off the bus. They was going to school together, but he had to get her ready for school and everything too.
Old soul. Yeah. And your son is calm right now. He's still calm. He just I'm great. He always friendly, but he just has a level of maturity. That most brothers his age don't have that type of maturity. Yeah.
I tell you, as far as punishing him, whipping, beating, maybe about 5 times, if that.
He was in the country,
yeah, maybe.
Because if he had been in the city, you'd been like, you better get in this house. You know, yeah. So
I mean, I don't know whether he feared me or what, but I didn't have to. All I had to do was just talk to him.
Oh yeah, and it was you and he. What was the difference between him and his
10 years.
between him and his little sister?
10 years.
So y'all, he was the only child. It was just you and him. Right, he was right. It was you and him. So he knew that, and you, if you didn't disrespect him or whatever, he didn't have any reason. You didn't have to yell at him. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you go out in the woods, you go out in the yard. Who gonna influence you? There's nothing you can do. It's like, who I'm gonna be bad with? Nobody. Yeah.
I'm gonna shut it down. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna shut it
down. Okay, we good. We good. Do we have a sponsor at 11:30? We don't have a sponsor. Okay, all right. I should know. I still have to ask.
It changes every Saturday.
Yeah. So I just need to make, and thank God. We want to thank God for our sponsors, man. Next Saturdays is a different format because we have Beyond Sisters coming on at this time. Great sponsors. And so so now I had to ask because I have to figure out, wait a minute, which Saturday is it? So we're gonna just do the priestly blessing, and we'll play some music up until 12 o'clock until our sponsors start coming on. Thank you. Great conversations today. We had great sponsors on. Thank everybody for their input. So I do want to release you with the priestly blessing. This is coming from Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Hallelujah. And I ask if you can put a palm towards the sky, but if you can't, don't worry about it. This blessing works because it's the blessing that's written directly by Jehovah, by God himself. So start with Numbers 6 and 22, and I'm reading from the Amplified Bible. It says, then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, verse 23, speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the way you should bless the Israelites. Say to them, verse 24, the Lord bless you and keep you, protect you, sustain you, and guard you. Verse 25, the Lord make his face shine upon you with favor and be gracious to you, surrounding you with loving kindness. Verse 26, the Lord lift up his countenance, his face upon you with divine approval, and give you peace, a tranquil heart and life. And verse 27, so Aaron and his son shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. So y'all have a great Saturday. You are listening to WYRN. Oh, and next Friday at New Hope, Freedom, and Deliverance, we are having the All Gloves Off relationship conference for singles, married couples. We just look, man. I know it's at the church, but we're gonna create an environment. We're gonna have some soft jazz playing. We're gonna have some hors d'oeuvres. Just talking about relationships. It starts at 7:30. So we're at 3012 Highway 98 West. Gina be part of the. She's gonna be part of our panel. Hallelujah. So we just have all gloves off. Anything you want to ask. We're not experts. No, we're not pretending to be that, but it's just giving the time to have an open forum. So we're at 3012 Highway 98 in Lewisburg, going out on 401. If you turn left on Highway 98, we're about 2.5 miles down. We're in a brick front, white steeple at the top. If you don't have anything to do at 7:30 next Friday, come check us out. Love to have your input. So I'm finished talking. Hallelujah. I'm starting off with Brother Neil Robeson. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. You listen to WYRN 1480 AM, W295DK, 106.9 FM, serving Lewisburg, Henderson, and surrounding areas. I'm glad you told me that. What you mean? Oh, this.